Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Wild Edibles Test Kitchen. I'm your host, Sergei. If you're joining us for the very first time, on this show, we go out and we harvest one wild edible, and then we turn it into something delicious in my kitchen. That way you guys learn something, maybe you're entertained, and I get to walk my own talk. In today's episode, I'm going to show you how to make green smoothie popsicles with lemon balm. Let's not dilly-dally, let's get right after it. Ready, set, go. Zoop. All this crap needs to go away. I definitely would have sliced my foot had I not moved the metal. So this is the lemon balm patch that we're heading to, right over where I just threw the bowl. I actually discovered this patch when I was peeing here 2 years ago when we bought the house. Don't let anybody ever tell you that peeing doesn't lead to good things. Needless to say, I no longer pee here. The very first thing that I want to point out is that mints, which is what lemon balm is, they like to grow in shady areas. And so we have one bush over there casting a shade. We're having the shipping container cast more shade, even the paddle boards cast shade, another tree. And so if you're looking around for mint and lemon balms, look someplace shady. So let's just get a little bit better situated and spend some time identifying this plant, as is becoming tradition. All good foragers have to learn to identify things correctly before they eat them. That way they don't face any negative side effects.
Don't eat something if you don't know what it is.
And so on this channel, that's the first thing that we do when we encounter wild plants. And so let's just spend a little bit of time describing this thing so that we remember it for life. So this right here is lemon balm. It's a plant that's in the mint family. And so one characteristic that's similar across all mints is the square stem. Let's see if it can focus on that. All mints have a square stem. So if you feel around and the main stem is square, chances are it's a plant that's in the mint family. You can see that this plant has an opposite leaf pattern, which basically just means that the leaves grow from the same exact point on the stem. The leaves are spade-shaped with serrations on the edges. And when you feel the leaf itself, you're going to feel kind of a fuzziness or velvet-like consistency to it. So lemon balm is very velvety to the touch. Come here. Hi. Hi, 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 hi. This is my dog Mari, everybody. She's a German wire hair pointer. And on this channel, we often call her clickbait, because we hope that she brings in more likes, shares, and subscribes. Oh, good girl. The absolute best way to tell lemon balm apart from other plants is by your sense of smell. And so if you take a leaf and crush it up, you should detect a very, very sweet, very pleasant citrus-like aroma. And so when you pair that with everything else we've talked about, the shade, the square stem, the serrated leaves, you know 100% that what you're holding is lemon balm. And this brings up a really important point that I like to make in many of my foraging videos, which is that all good foragers should learn to use all 5 of their basic senses: hearing, sight, taste, smell, and touch. As foragers, those are our tools. That's our toolkit. And so when I go out and I look for plants, I look at them and see what they look like. Then my hands reach out and I touch them, feel them. Oh, this feels slightly velvety. That's kind of interesting to notice. The next sense that I use is my sense of smell, because I can pick that part, give it a whiff, and be like, wow, that smells really good. Or maybe with another plant, you smell it and that smells very putrid, like something you don't want to eat. Very important safety mechanism. Then you can also use your sense of hearing to hear whether there's traffic in the area. Maybe that will help you determine whether or not the site where you're harvesting is contaminated or not. And then the very last thing that you want to do is taste it. What does it taste like? It's a little rough in its raw form. I'm not going to lie, that really intense lemony flavor, as well as the velvety flavor, the velvety texture. It's not the best green to eat in its raw form, but in a smoothie, it's going to be delicious. Because today we're making a green smoothie and lemon balm is very potent, it's very powerful, it's kind of like a basil or another herb like cilantro, we don't actually need that much of it to get where we're going. And so I brought my trusty scissors today and I'm just cutting off some tops of lemon balm. And I want to collect like maybe a bunch, but maybe half a bunch, not very much. The nice thing about lemon balm is it's a very potent green. It's very aromatic, so it makes it kind of similar to like basil or cilantro or parsley, kind of like an herb. And so a little bit goes a long way. A little bit gets you where you're going pretty fast. And so for the sake of our green smoothie today, we're going to use some other greens and use the lemon balm to literally balm the smoothie and give it more pizzazz. For those interested, I'm just going to quickly run through some of the health benefits of why you might want to incorporate lemon balm into your diet. As a mint, it has stress and anxiety relieving qualities to it. All mints are slightly sedative, and so when you eat them, your body kind of gets a little sleepy and is able to rest a little bit more. So on that same note, is good for people with sleep problems and insomnia. I definitely qualify in this sector. I have insomnia myself, and so I fully intend to capitalize on that benefit. Additionally, it helps cognition. It also aids digestion and helps soothe any sort of allergic reactions. For this reason, I often say that if I was a wild edible superhero, I'd have a little tool belt with mint in it or lemon balm in it, because if I ever had a negative reaction from a plant that I was eating, I could combat it by introducing more mint into my diet. Additionally, there's been studies that show that lemon balm applied topically to cold sores helps heal those suckers. It also helps regulate blood sugar, so if you're a diabetic or somebody with hypoglycemia, lemon balm will help you regulate your sugars to a normal level. And last but not least, it has antibacterial and anti-inflammatory properties. So this little plant is incredibly beneficial for you. Lemon balm is very intense, as I already mentioned. A little bit goes a long way. And so today I'm going to come in here and cut some of these broccoli greens as well as some Swiss chard to kind of fill out my green smoothie, make it a little bit more nutritious and a little bit more green. We'll take like a nice big handful of broccoli leaves. These are basically just like collard greens, and they're pretty good in smoothies. And then maybe we go over there and get some Swiss chard. Look at this crazy big Swiss chard plant. This is leftover from last year, and it's just monstrous. It's like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle monster plant. But when you come in here, you notice that the little Swiss chard leaves are pretty crisp and tender. They're organic and perfect for smoothies. Sometimes scissors are the way forward, and sometimes it's just your hands. With this gnarly Swiss chard, I think the hands win, because I can just grab a bunch of leaves and put them in my bowl. Here's the product of all our labor this morning. Now it's time to go wash up and hop into the kitchen. Give it a nice thorough rinse. Pick out anything that you don't want to eat. And it's as simple as that. We got our beautiful bowl of greens. We have our freshly harvested wild edibles lemon balm. We have our broccoli greens, our Swiss chard. It's all washed up and ready to go. The only thing left to do is hop inside and make some green smoothie popsicles, which is what we're gonna do next. But first, here's a quick little ad.
This video is sponsored by me and my books. I publish ebooks and books on different topics, and the money generated from these sales helps me fund new projects just like this one. If you like my content and want to help me create more of it, go buy my books. Print and digital titles now available on Amazon and at sergeibutenko.com.
Welcome to my kitchen. We finally made it. The next step is to blend a green smoothie, which we will then freeze in these little popsicle molds. And in about 12 hours, 6 to 12 hours, depending on how cold your freezer is, they are going to be finger licking good, wild edibles infused popsicles. So let's cruise through the ingredients. I'll show you my blender, and then we'll start cooking. This particular smoothie is going to be made out of the greens that we harvested. We're also going to use some medjool dates with the pits taken out. I have 2 small mangoes. These are little honey mangoes. You can use any mangoes that are ripe in your area. The riper the better. 2 bananas. Same thing goes for the bananas, the riper the better. And then we're also going to use some strawberries. These strawberries came from our friend's property. Shout out to Terry and Lauren. They have a beautiful food forest. And last week they invited us over to pick some strawberries. For those interested, we left the greens intact because after all, we're making a green smoothie and we knew that that's where these strawberries would be going. So we decided to leave the greens intact because they are like the most nutritious part of the strawberry. We're going to use a quart of water to help it all blend. And when all's said and done, we're going to put them in these silly little popsicle molds. These 2 are penguins. And these 2 are unicorns. I think those are unicorns, right? Horses with horns are unicorns. And then we're going to freeze them, and 6 to 12 hours later, they should be good to go. This is the same Vitamix that I used in my 30-day green smoothie challenge for busy people on YouTube. And you can tell that I get a lot of use out of this blender because of how milky it is. Look at that thing. For the longest time, I tried to keep 1 or 2 containers that were for food prep only. And then I just got tired. And I also think that it's nice for you to see that I walk my own talk and I drink smoothies to the point where the blender becomes well loved. So let's start by first putting our greens in there. I'm gonna take some of these greens, take the kind of kale, the stem part out, throw them in the compost, feed them to your chickens, do whatever you like. Just pack the blender full of greens. I'm gonna take all of my lemon balm. I don't have to be that careful with it because it's going in a blender that's gonna pulverize everything. And just dump the Swiss chard, the lemon balm, and everything else in the container. Next we have our strawberries. I believe this is about 2 cups. In they go. Let's do 8 dates. The thing about popsicles is that you want them to be extra sweet because when somebody eats a sweet frozen treat, they expect it to be sweet. And so you don't want your green smoothie to be full of chlorophyll. I mean, you want it to be full of chlorophyll, but you don't want it to taste like it's full of chlorophyll. And so when in doubt, make your popsicle smoothie a little bit sweeter. And I lost track of how many dates there were. 1, 2, 3, that's 6. I guess I could just count the pits, huh? Let's do 2 more for good measure. 2 bananas, the riper the better. I already mentioned that, but it's worth mentioning again. When you go to slice your mangoes, the best and easiest way to do it is to kind of find their cheeks. So if you look at a mango, you'll notice that it's kind of oblong in shape. And so what I like to do is I like to start at this little nub and I like to cut along the flat seed like so. And that way you get maximum mango out of your mango when you work around the seed in this manner. I got 2 cheeks, 1 and 2, and 2 little strips. And this part right here, this is like Sergei's treat. That's a really ripe mango. The easiest way to get the mango from the skin into the blender is to take a little teaspoon and just scoop it like you would when you're eating like a melon. No muss, no fuss. You're not gonna cut yourself. Same thing with the cheeks. You can just take your spoon and whoop, right into the blender. The trick to making a delicious green smoothie is to add enough fruit. When my mom popularized the concept of green smoothies, her generic green smoothie recipe was 40% greens by volume and 60% fruit. This is something that I've had to combat over the years because people are afraid of fruit because it has sugar in it. And I keep telling them that it also has fiber in it, and fiber helps slow the assimilation of sugar in the body, but my message falls on deaf ears. So maybe you'll hear me in this video. Once your ingredients are in the blender, you can take your quart of water and pour it on in. And I almost spilled that entire quart on my counter. So first things first, we gotta try what we created, because if it doesn't taste good, that's when we adjust it before we freeze it. Because we never want to serve untasty food to anybody, whether that be our kids, our parents, our husbands, our wives. We want all of our food to taste good and represent healthy food and wild edibles in the best way possible. We are gonna give it a nice sample. It's so much tastier than the fresh lemon balm. There's no velvet taste. The lemon really comes alive. It kind of hits my mouth. It feels like there's a party in my mouth. I would say it's a mega success. So, And so the only thing left to do is fill the popsicle forms like so, carefully. Boom. We're gonna have 2 little penguins and 2 purple unicorns. Actually, they're all gonna be green, aren't they? We don't want to overfill them because when things freeze, they expand. You just want to agitate them a little bit to fill all the nooks and crannies. And they also have little lids that we put on them so that this stuff doesn't get super messy in the freezer. And so that's basically it. We're almost done. We're almost finished with our super healthy, super delicious popsicles. I just need to stick these in the freezer for 6 to 12 hours, and then I'm ready to go. In my Wild Edibles book, I talk about smoothies a lot. I was once reading my comments on Amazon because my self-esteem was too high and I wanted to lower it a notch. And I found a guy who was really annoyed at the fact that I used the words green smoothie over and over again. He actually went through my book and counted how many times I used green smoothie, and I think it was something like in the ballpark of 150, 159 maybe. And so he was like, what's the deal? Why are you using green smoothies so much? Green smoothies are my best friend because they are a perfect vehicle for ingesting all greens, including wild edibles. You know, a lot of these greens, they taste very intense. There's lots of chlorophyll, lots of nutrition in them, and they're also often bitter and just not the most pleasant thing to eat, especially when we have other options like sweet treats, donuts, etc., etc. And so then blending greens with sweet fruit masks that taste, that chlorophyll taste, and makes it easy to ingest lots of good nutrition. So green smoothies are basically just a vehicle for getting more of the good stuff in your body in a painless fashion. My mom popularized the concept of green smoothies in the early 2000s. Ever since then, I've been on a green smoothie cleanse, which just basically means that I try and drink 1 quart of green smoothie every single day in addition to all the other stuff that I eat. And it's done nothing but benefit me over the years. So I advocate heavily for greens in the form of smoothies, and I have different challenges on YouTube, one called the 30-Day Green Smoothie Challenge and another called the 30-Day Green Smoothie Challenge for busy people. A quart, if I'm not mistaken, has between 28 and 32 servings of greens. In years past, my mom and I have analyzed this stuff in labs. And so it's essentially like drinking a massive bowl of salad in a very painless fashion. Fun fact, my sister and I, when we were growing up, we didn't really like the color of the smoothie. And so we used to turn off the lights or close our eyes to drink the green smoothie because it tastes just like a fruit smoothie. It just happens to be green in hue.
Очень вкусно.
Those are the penguins. And those are the unicorns. All right. That's pretty silly, but cute. How cute is that? I think our freezer's a little too cold. That is so adorable. I mean, look at those things. That's good.
I like them.
That was a unicorn.
Good.
Penguin is good too.
You want to try it? Oh boy. Oh boy.
Don't eat the stick. I guess that's a winner, huh? There you have it, folks. Sergei might lie sometimes, but the dog does not, especially when it comes to food.